Well, okay, welcome back to this special edition version of Mr. Reed Math, where we're going to celebrate this NTI day with a little bit of review of special right triangles. Okay, so I'm going to try to make two videos for you, and then you're going to have a quizzes. I'm going to try to make both of those videos about 5, maybe 6 minutes in length, okay? So we're going to start with 45, 45, 90 right triangles. It's a special right triangle, it's a special case, and it has some special rules. Okay, let's take this first one. Here we've got 45 degrees marked in the corner and 90 degrees here, which means 90 plus 45, there's only 45 degrees left, so that means it must be 45 over here as well. Makes this an isosceles right triangle. That means we got two angles the same, we're going to have two sides the same, we call these the legs, and we're going to have this hypotenuse over here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some information in there just because I mentioned it and just to keep it fresh here. So now we've got two leg lengths the same, but I don't know what that leg length is. How do I figure that out? All right, well, we're going from the leg to the hypotenuse. Tell you what, let's go ahead, let's add a little bit of a splash of color here. Okay, I'm going to color the hypotenuse red, and I'm going to color the legs green. Hopefully that shows up on your video real well, but that just really helps me remember. Okay, no chance I'm going to mistake that now. Here's the hypotenuse, it's the longest piece, and I'm going from a measurement I know about the leg to a measurement I don't know about the hypotenuse. Okay, the way this works is I take whatever that value is for the leg and I multiply it by radical 2, and that will tell me the length of the hypotenuse. Okay, the value of the leg is 5, and I'm going to multiply that times radical 2. How do I do that? How do I combine those two things? Okay, well, I'd look at the numbers outside radical signs first. 5, and there isn't one there, so that's assumed a 1. 5 times 1 is 5. And now I look at all the radicals. Well, there's just 1, and I multiply those together. And so that just becomes 5 radical 2. It's really easy when you have a whole number for the leg, and they're asking what the hypotenuse. All you really do is just add radical 2 to it, and there's your length. All right, let's go to the second problem I've got here. Once again, let's add a splash of color. All right, I like it. Love it. I want some more of it. All right, there we go. Red and green. Now we know where the legs are, and we know where the hypotenuse is. Now we're going the other way. We're going from the hypotenuse, which we know, to the leg, which we don't know. All right, the way you do that, all right, well, you take whatever value it is for the hypotenuse, and we multiply that times radical 2 divided by 2. All right, so now let's insert what we know. For the hypotenuse, I know that that's 6. And I'm going to multiply 6 times radical 2 over 2. Okay, well, how do I do that? That looks scary. It looks complicated, Mr. Reed. Okay, well, let's see. Let's break it down. Let's make it simple. A lot of people, what they like to do is they like to go ahead and divide the whole numbers first. So we got a 6, and we got divided by 2. You can go ahead and do that first if you want to. It's especially easy if it's an even number, which it is. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now we've still got to do the radicals, and I see a whole 1 radical there. It's radical 2. So 3 radical 2, there is your answer. That is the length of the leg from the hypotenuse of 6. Okay, now let's turn the page, and let's go to these two. These are a little bit harder. We're at about 3.5 minutes. I think I'm going to hit my 6-minute mark. Sweet. I'm going to add some color. I like it. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. All right, here we go. Oh, watch out, I'm coming up with catchphrases now. Y'all be repeating them in the classroom, singing my praises. Okay, so now this one's a little bit harder, but it's not too bad. Once again, we don't know what the hypotenuse is, but we do know what the leg is. So I'm going to go from the leg to the hypotenuse. We're going to follow the same rule. Whatever that leg value is, I'm going to multiply that times radical 2. Okay, let's look over here. Leg value, what are you? 4 radical 3. Oh my goodness. 4 radical 3 times radical 2. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take any numbers outside the radicals. 4, and then there's an implied 1 there. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, now I look at the, oh, Mr. Reed, how do I multiply radicals? Well, there's this thing called the product rule for radicals, all right? And it says if you have radical A times radical B, that becomes radical A times B. You can move them inside and multiply them together. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take 4 times radical 3 times 2, and then we're going to simplify that just to 4 radical 6. And there's our answer. 4 radical 3 becomes 4 radical 6 hypotenuse. Okay. I'm going to add some color. I like it. I love it. I want some more. I think I'll add some purple with the next triangle we work on. Okay, here we go. Red, green, and green. We got the hypotenuse, we got the leg. We know the length of the hypotenuse. We don't know the length of the leg. Okay, so from hypotenuse to leg, once again, we follow the same rule we did on the other sheet. Okay, we take whatever that hypotenuse value is, we multiply it times radical 2 divided by 2. All right, so we'll look around here. I see a hypotenuse value of 7 radical 5. All right, I'm going to multiply that times radical 2 divided by 2. Now, I'd love to be able to take those numbers, the 7 and 2, and divide them, but that's not an even number, so it's complicated. I'm just going to leave it simplified as 7 divided by 2. Now, I got to take the radicals. I'm going to use the product rule for radicals, and I know that that means radical 5 times radical 2 becomes radical 5 times 2. And then I'm going to simplify that one more step. 7 radical 10 divided by 2 is the simplest answer. There we go, from hypotenuse to leg. Well, we just barely missed the 6-minute mark by about 15 seconds, but I'd say that's not too bad. So you all have a wonderful day, and I'll have a second video here in just a minute.